Hello and welcome to another episode of Premier League Chatterbox. It's going to be a great show today. We have so much to talk about with transfers, but first, preseason is officially underway. And every year it seems like there's always at least one player that really steps into the preseason limelight. They look really great, they're scoring goals. It seems like they're just going to be amazing once the season starts. But once the season starts, they kind of disappear and you never hear from them again. And I want to know who you think will be that player that in the preseason they really impress everybody, but once the season starts, they disappear. Now I think it's going to be Dominic Solanke for Liverpool. There's been a lot of hype about him this summer. He did really well with England's team, the youth team for England. And I think this preseason he'll play a lot. We'll see him score a few goals. It'll seem like he's really good. And then once the season starts, he'll disappear. You'll never hear from him again for a while. Because he's still very young. Liverpool has quite a few other attacking players that are much better that I think will be playing rather than Solanke. He might get a few cup games, but nothing really. So with transfers, first up, James Rodriguez from Real Madrid. He was supposed to be for sale. He was apparently, his agent or Real Madrid was approaching people trying to sell him. They approached a lot of Premier League clubs, and everyone in the Premier League just kind of said, no thanks. So anyways, now he's off to Bayern Munich. They signed him on a 2-year loan deal, so he'll be playing there after having a pretty disappointing time at Real Madrid. He was on the bench a lot. He didn't get much playing time. Seemed like Zidane didn't really care for him too much, and apparently no Premier League club cares for him because he was up for grabs, and they all just said no. Next up, we're going to talk about Everton. Now, last week, I reported that they were trying to sign Sigurdsson from Swansea, and Swansea set a $50 million price tag on him. Well, since then, Leicester and Everton have both bid $40 million for Sigurdsson, and both those bids were rejected. So it seems Swansea are holding firm to that $50 million price, and I really don't think he's worth that much. I don't think Everton will get that much benefit out of him compared to the players they already have. But I mean, they did just get all that money for Lukaku, so maybe they can throw some of that at him. And Marko Arnautovic is apparently trying to move to West Ham. He handed in his transfer request to Stoke, says he wants to go. West Ham want him. They bid $15 million and then $20 million for him. Both were rejected by Stoke, so Stoke really don't want to let him go. He's one of their best players. And this move really doesn't make much sense. It's kind of a lateral move going from Stoke to West Ham. Neither club is really bigger than the other. You could argue a little bit for West Ham maybe a couple seasons back, but certainly not anymore. And it just, I don't know. I think the only benefit maybe that Arnautovic sees is he gets to go to London, nicer city, and maybe West Ham are willing to pay him a little more in wages. And next up, Leicester are looking to sign Iheanacho from Manchester City. And this is kind of interesting because Leicester already have about 5 strikers on the books, so it looks like they're going to try to sell somebody. I'm not sure exactly which striker they'll try to sell, but they certainly don't need 5 of them, or even 4 really. They're not going to have to do that much rotation. They don't have as many games as they did last season. They're not in any European competitions. It's pretty much just the league and then a few of the smaller cups for them. So they don't need that many strikers. And I'm wondering if there's going to be a change of formation going on. Is Iheanacho going to play alongside Vardy? I don't know. Or is Iheanacho going to sit on the bench again at Leicester instead of Man City? And now an update on the Sanchez situation with Arsenal. They've now said they won't sell him for anything other than $90 million, and I don't see that happening at all. He only has 1 year left on his contract. He's 28, so he's starting to get a little older. He's getting towards the decline of his career. So there's no way anybody would pay that. That's ridiculous. So it looks like Arsenal are trying to go with the nuclear option where they keep him for 1 more year, get what they can out of him, and then he goes for free next summer. And I really think that's the wrong move for them. Like I said last week, I think it's a better idea to just take the money now, control the situation to where he goes to another league and he doesn't go to a rival, take that money, buy somebody else to replace him. So what do you think? Is this the right decision by Arsenal? And another tough situation for Arsenal is Oxlade-Chamberlin. Now, they've tried to offer him a new deal, but he's not taking it. He wants a big raise. And apparently Liverpool want him, but I don't really see that happening. He's a rotation player at Arsenal, and going to Liverpool, looking at their midfield, I'd say he'd probably be a rotation player there. So there's no real benefit to him going there. Liverpool's a worse city than London, and he may get a little bit of a raise, but you're still not playing the game. So I don't see that happening. I don't see him going to Liverpool, but he's he's holding firm on his contract talks. He won't sign. Arsenal aren't offering him any more of a raise. So it's kind of a tough situation for them. So what do you think? Is Arsenal, being too stingy with their money again, or are they making a smart move by not putting a rotation player on really high wages? And speaking of Liverpool, Mamadou Sakho was supposed to sign for Crystal Palace, but Liverpool were asking for way too much money for him. So Crystal Palace said, well, we'll try to find somebody else. They signed on loan Loftus-Cheek from Chelsea. And so now Liverpool are stuck with this extra center back that they don't want, even though he's actually a really good player. They just had a falling out with him. Apparently under Brendan Rodgers, there were some issues with Sakho. He was kind of exiled from the club. And now under Klopp, he apparently feels the same way. So apparently there is something wrong with Sakho, his attitude. I don't know exactly what it is, and I don't think anybody does. Looking at things, there's all kinds of reports all over the place, nothing really concrete. They've kind of kept everything hush-hush. So now Liverpool are stuck with this center back. So I'm wondering if there's a way for him back into the side, because he's obviously a very talented player. So do you just let that talent sit on the bench and he's just sitting there doing nothing, or do you try to use him? Try to find some way to bring him back from exile into the club to play, because Liverpool need another center back. They've been trying to sign Virgil van Dijk from Southampton. Do you just try to stick with Sakho? Since you can't sell him, stick with him, put him back into the team. I don't know. What do you think? Next up, we have Liverpool's biggest rival, Manchester United, and they signed Perisic for about $50 million. And I think this is a really good move for them, another great move for them. He's going to really help solidify their midfield, especially after Pogba's $90 million flop season. And I call it a flop because while he did pretty well and okay, especially later on in the season, for $90 million, I expect world class every single game. There's just no excuse for that. That's way too much money to have the kind of season that Pogba had. It was a fairly average season. But I do expect he'll do a lot better this season. But bringing in that extra weight in midfield with Perisic will definitely help them out. Now, we need to talk about Tottenham. What is going on? They have not signed anybody yet so far, and now they're selling their best right back, possibly the best right back in the league, Kyle Walker, to one of their direct rivals, Manchester City. I don't know what they are thinking doing this. This is crazy. Why are they getting rid of some of their best players and not bringing anybody else in? Anybody they're linked with is average at best. They've finished second in the league 2 years in a row now. They're trying to push on to get that last step to win a title, and then they're going to sell one of their best players. I just don't understand this at all. The way this summer's going, I don't see them even finishing in the top four. Look at all the teams around them and how much they have strengthened, and then look at what Tottenham's done. Nothing. They've even gone backwards this summer. They need to make some big signings, and soon, because the backup for the right back, Trippier, I mean, he's good, but he's nowhere on Walker's level. I just don't know what Tottenham are thinking. I think this is a really bad move for them, and at the moment, I don't see them finishing in the top four at all. Let me know what you think of Tottenham's activities so far in this transfer window in the comments below. Next up, Chelsea have apparently signed Bakayoko from Monaco, and this is another really good signing for them, helpful with their defensive midfield, but again, they need a striker. They've still only been linked with Morata, and like I said, I don't think that's the striker they need. I don't think he's going to, he's not going to be the striker I put on my fantasy team. I don't expect him to be scoring goals week in, week out, and they need somebody to do that. They're losing Costa. They need to bring in a striker. Right now, all they really have in their attack is Hazard and Willian, and I don't think that's enough. They need to sign a striker. They've made some good signings defensively, and they say defense wins titles, but you need somebody to score goals. We saw Man U. Their defense won them plenty of draws, but they couldn't really get the goals. Chelsea need to have a really good striker, and I don't see them getting that, and so I don't see them winning the title this season. Let me know what you think in the comments. And lastly, Man U's Adnan better than Sterling Januzaj has signed for Real Sociedad in Spain. So, yeah. That's it for today. If you like what you saw, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Click here to check out my previous videos. Click here to subscribe. And make sure to check back every few days for the latest news and updates on the happenings in the Premier League. This is PL Chatterbox, and as always, thanks for watching.